May 17, 1272. The dreams that haunt my slumber have grown more vivid with each passing night. Visions of fire and destruction lay siege to my mind, the streets of Dunwick consumed by chaos. A sinister yellow banner looms over the gates. In these dreams, I stand at the forefront of a grand host, the proud standard of House Dunwick soaring above. The dream always unfolds in the same manner. A colossal clash outside the gates, the ring of steel upon steel echoing through the air. Our forces, resplendent in plate and mail, meet the enemy with valor and might. The battle is fierce, but it is Dunwick that prevails. The dreams do not end with the defense of Dunwick. They carry a warning of a greater conflict to come, a battle amidst the cold wastes that stretch beyond our lands. The vision is clear. A sea of men, a storm of battle, the cacophony of war cries and clashing swords. It is a battle that could shape the destiny of Dunwick for good or ill. These nightly visions, though harrowing, I cannot dismiss as mere fancy. They are omens, warnings of what may yet come to pass. To still my restless mind, I wander the grounds of Dunwick under the moon's gaze. The time for action is upon us. I shall not allow these portents to become reality. It is time to arm our men and to prepare for war. I have decreed that we shall purchase the finest arms and armour the world has to offer, sparing no expense. I shall build a ring of forts to surround Dunwick, whose purpose will be to house the finest soldiers the land had ever seen. Aelred of Dunwick. Welcome, dear friends, back to Manorlords. Lord Aelred is the sort who always has a busy mind, and his next ambitious plan is to surround Dunwick with a ring of forts and to increase the garrison size somewhat amongst his lands. That will require some work on my part. I'm Commander Tyrael, thanks for joining me. If you're new to the series, make sure you've checked out the earlier episodes, because Lord Aelred's tale is quite the saga, let's just put it that way. This is the new town of Huonville, nestled in the southern forests of the lands of Dunwick. We are throwing down the marketplace for this new town. The purpose of this town will be simply to get enough population and a fort so that we can build more troops. The town of Rokeby is also, which was founded in the last episode, is also going to be upgraded with a fort. The little mini episode that came between number 4 was Lord Aelred plotting out that fort and visiting the town of Rokeby. I am feeling a little bit ambitious in this episode, so I think we might start constructing 2 towns simultaneously. I have paused time because I think it'll be a little bit too hard to manage 2 towns' constructions at the same time. Now, we're not going to worry too much about industry because the town of Dunwick is literally self-sufficient, and ironically, I can't manage it anymore. The construction of the Grand Wall removed my ability to really control the town, and I'll show you that a little bit later. We're just storing down the basics of a town, and we're focusing on population. So the first things that we'll put up will be a housing plot, probably 5, 6, 7 housing plots, and we're just going straight for population. We'll try and satisfy the needs of this new town of Huonville. Huonville is going to be a quiet town that sits on the King's Road, the crossroads between the rest of the regions and the King's Road, as well as the main road up to Dunwick. Our 4th town in the region of Goldhoff will be the town of Thornwick, a place that is fortified or has natural defenses, much like a thorn bush. It will be known for its resilience and tough spirit. This is a heavily forested, high elevation region, and fortunately the high fertility is also at the top of the hill. So we'll put the market square at the edge of the forest road, and I look forward to fortifying these regions. This town will be a sentinel amongst the wilderness. The town is only accessible by a narrow path, that weaves through the woods. A trail that will test the resolve of any who seek to visit. They will be a sturdy lot. Their lives will be shaped by this rugged land. We will try to keep all the trees intact. Again, we're aiming for population. The forest will provide them with enough timber and game. And the hill will grant a vantage point. We'll be able to see Dunwick from here. If we're really quick, we can get this town to like level 2 really fast. I just need to build 5 housing plots, satisfy a couple of needs for food, firewood, and then we're good to upgrade. I will put in an extra oxen and a couple of garden beds, a goat, and some eggs for variety, and we should be able to get to level 3 town fairly fast. Then we'll chuck in a church, and we should be good. Thornwick should be up before winter. Both of these towns that we're building today will try to utilize the natural terrain features as much as possible, and we will try to make them really nestled and snug communities that you wouldn't really see. This one here will be right on the King's Road, so it will be a hub for trade, and it's got a little bit of opportunity for fertility. Coming back to Dunwick, we have cleared this entire region. I don't really like the look of it. I think it's a bit barren, and I think we need to repay the favour to Dunwick's land and look after it a bit. So I feel like I might put down some forestry huts to regenerate the trees that we chopped down for the Grand Wall. One thing that happened when I built the Grand Wall is I've lost control of the town, except for select buildings like the pack station and the storehouse. Can't click on the market. It's all classed as the castle. The forester's hut, some buildings work, some don't. And rather than destroy the entire wall to gain access back to the town, I've just decided to keep it. Fortunately, Dunwick is self-sufficient. All the crops are on rotation. We've got trades coming in for the things they do need when barley runs out, for instance. But apart from that, it's a self-managed town. I've turned off the taxes. I've turned off the teeth to the church. I have turned off all of our industries that create weapons because we have hundreds of weapons. And I've been sending them back and forward as a bit of a barter tool to sort of cheese the bartering system. I send pole arms up for one resource, and then we have another pack station that takes the pole arms back for another. So it's sort of gaming the barter system. I'm sure I'm losing out somehow because there is a multiplier. Yeah. So Dunwick is hands off for Lord Aelred. And we have 29 families that need work. So I will probably set up farm outside the wall, and I will probably set up the forestry huts as mentioned. The town of Rokeby is coming along quite splendidly. Their buildings some of their buildings are upgraded to tier 3, and it's almost time to lay down their fort. It's not much in the form of diplomacy, but let's send a letter to these raider scum. Another dog has crawled through my lands. This was the spot that we picked during our lordly tour of the town Rokeby in the last episode, so that's where it shall be. Add the wall, 58 planks. We have lots of planks in stock. Rokeby was responsible for sending planks to Dunwick for the construction of their wall, and they do have somewhat of a surplus left over. So we've turned off that industry, and we will just use those to construct our fort, and then maybe send some to the local town of Thornwick. I don't really like that entrance into the fort being up from the King's Road, so let's feed the entrance to the fort back towards the town of Rokeby, which is where you would naturally want it to go, and you would want your enemies to run up the hill with no fancy footpath to help them. Unless you were funneling them into a kill zone, of course. We'll place down the tax office, even though that has no effect as of this video. It still makes it look different to Dunwick's house. And we will get the one family to start building that. We should expand that a little bit, a few more families. The housing plots have started construction in Huonville, so we will add a few more into there. We don't need to worry too much about the trees being knocked down. We have a pretty big supply of timber at the moment. We just need people in here. Making sure the plots are large enough for extra families as well as decent size vegetable patches. Okay, let's have a look at Thornwick. How are you going over here with your construction? They've started construction of the houses. They've got the granary and the storage yard up. That's great. They've picked up their supplies. They're harvesting some lumber. Pretty rustic looking town. Right at the top of the plateau. They do have a neighbouring region of the Barrens, which is, again, max fertility. Very jealous of his lands. But they will soon be Dunwick's lands. We just need to expand the army. Putting down a generous row of housing here for Thornwick. Again, making sure they're double-sized plots with a decent backyard. 5 logs left. That will let us build something else useful. Making sure everyone's got a backyard in Rugby. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I missed one. And we've got goats there, so they can have a goat. We're going to change Dunwick's pack station orders, and we're going to send up some war bows up to Rokeby, now that their fort's under construction. Got lots of shields and armor. Well, not armor, but we have shields in abundance and spears in abundance. So we're going to send some war bows up, and once the fort's built, hopefully I'll be able to raise a few levies of archers from Rokeby, which would be great. I want to have a massive army. I would want to push it out. Now that those orders are set for the pack station, I like to get into the habit of making sure they're actually doing it, because there isn't an overlay that says that there's a trade in progress, and it doesn't really tell you what's coming in and out. There's no in or out flow on the overlays that I can tell. If you know where they are, tell me in the comments, please. Huonville's a little bit slower getting some of their buildings up. It is absolutely pouring in the forest, all over the lands, in fact. It's time to clean this up. Let's clear up the roads. I've lost control of the trade house inside the city of Dunwick, so I'm going to put a new one down outside, just so I can make sure that the town has enough of what it needs. Coming in and out. Building a tannery in Rokeby, because we didn't have one. We were relying on clothes from Dunwick. So we need to fill that gap in production, and Thornwick has gone up a level. So that means they've finished their first 5 buildings. Yep, they've knocked those houses up pretty quickly. We've already put some garden beds in the ones that were built. May as well put some more. And this will guarantee that they stay fed. And then it's just a matter of diversifying that food with the local wildlife. Construction work on the summer house has not started, so we need to put that to a maximum priority. I want that built before... Oh man, it's probably not going to be built before the end of autumn. I accidentally deleted the King's Road, and Huonville has leveled up. That's good. They've got their first 5 houses up. This is the little river crossing that Lord Aelred got angry about getting his feet wet. I tried to build a bridge, but we just don't have the technology for bridges. Once we lay our claim on that central region, we won't need to worry about that path anymore. I put these farms in the town of Rokeby quite a while ago, but this is the first time they've broken ground. Now that the houses are built, we need to think about a church, so we'll need a saw pit for that. The approval... We've built this town so fast that the approval malus for homelessness is still in effect. They've been living here for a little while, but the town's come up so fast that we still have that malus, and unfortunately we will not grow until next month. Okay, nice and clear. Get rid of the shrubbery. All of our vegetables have been laid by the look of it, or they're in the process of doing so. We built the housing plots right on the limits of fertility. We're going to build all of these fertile areas into grain farms. The fertility for other grains is pretty poor here, so we may have to rely on another region for barley or just import it. I wonder how much more complicated the building and logistics will be once full release happens in only 7 or 8 days' time. If you're watching this when I make it. Go in another field, one more. And we will have to build a road to join up the King's Road to that one. So So there's a King's Road into our town. There's a forest path towards Rokeby. And then there's another King's Path that just sits to the south that doesn't connect to the town at all. Thornwick has a rich stone deposit, 700 blocks of stone. We could really build a huge fortress, lots of towers if we wanted to. Or we could export it for the stuff that they need, barter it. Time for more houses in Rokeby. We will need at least 8 to 10 more families to be able to man those farms, as well as keep constructing the Manor, the brand new summer lodge, which is really only a half-day ride from Dunwick. Huonville needs some of their garden plots. We haven't done that yet, and they are starting to run low on food. We might be a bit late here for the vegetable harvest. They're still building those corner plots. Can't see them through the trees, but they're a nice shape. That one there on the corner would see a lot of traffic, bit of road noise. Chicken coop. We're going to need the eggs. Eggs. We've got 2 oxen already. Eggs, and then probably eggs again. We already have hunters, so we're getting hides. We will just need to turn them into leather for clothes. As we did with Thornwick, we're going to do the farm plots here. This place has much better fertility than Thornwick's region, and we may be able to get a couple of different types of grain out. So we'll make the fields quite generously large. A few Morgans. A few good Morgans. This town is also not growing until next month because it has the homelessness malice still, despite having beautifully constructed homes nestled in amongst the trees. Both of these regions have pretty limited access to water in the area that we're building. So I'll have to be mindful that we have a few wells around in case of a forest fire. Huonville has a rich berry deposit, so we will take advantage of that straight away before winter comes. We don't want to lose access to 128 berries. Trying to keep the forest alive, our natural defense. Not really, because the enemy are stealthed when they're in the forest, but anyway. That's what got us killed in our first town. We have a little bit of leftover change, so we should spend it on the goats, so we have that passive hide income that we can turn into leather to satisfy clothing need. Building a farmhouse, though we still have 0 growth in both of our new towns. We've only just crossed over into November and we are still got negative approval. I wish I could send some of the 29 families that I have at Dunwick, like maybe forcefully immigrate them to a new town for an approval malice. Like, I would be happy to do that. Might slow down the long-term growth of the town, but it will speed it up in the short term. When Dunwick was first founded, you could not see the town from the King's Road. So Lord Aelred has demanded that we plant 700 trees to replace those that were cut down during the construction of the Grand Wall. So that will take about that many forest huts and twice as many people. After receiving a strongly worded letter from Lord Aelred, Rokeby's town alderman has cracked the whip, and 6 families are now on the construction of Lord Aelred's family summer home. Although he doesn't have a family yet, unfortunately. He's so focused on his job that romantic endeavours are beyond him at this stage. This is where it shall lie. Now that there are so many regions to govern, it's probably wise that I keep the ravenous vultures as part of the permanent army. So while they think they're mercenaries, they are now officially members of our army. So all the basic infrastructure is there, and we have capacity for 21 families, and yet no one wants to move in. It's a bit of a ghost town here at Thornwick, as well as Huonville. So when the families do start moving in, they're going to have the greatest of brand new facilities. The flip side to that is they will also have about 14 Morgan worth of fields to tend every year. And I mean every year. There. Huonville only has space for 11 families, and yet it too is a ghost town. So I'm hoping that when the first snow starts to fall, local families that might be doing it tough might want to come and stay at the town of Huonville. Judging by their progress, I think this will be finished probably by end of December. But I'm not really an expert on the speed of villagers building a keep during medieval times. If you're wondering why exactly we need to build up such a ring of forts, is we want this central region, the central region of Waldbrand. A perfect fertility and what appears to be a previously destroyed village or remnants of a village in the central area of that region. Running up the forest path from Rokeby to Thornwick brings you to the top of the hill, and my grand vision for this area would be to have the fort right here at the entrance to the town. Probably not blocking the King's Road like I did with Dunwick, because I don't want to lose access to the town, but we can make it look formidable. And the only other way is to go through the forest filled with lots and lots of wild animals. So, in my head, that seems like a scary forest. And this is the King's Road, Thornwick, looking back towards Dunwick. All the forestry huts are ready for the grand rebirth of Dunwick's forests. Dunwick too once had a barrier of undergrowth and grand trees, which now make up the Grand Wall. Lord Aelred's command is to replenish those forests. So we're setting the area for these forestry teams so that we can have a nice ring of trees around the Grand Wall. And so theoretically, you won't be able to see the wall until you're within shooting distance of it. And I mean them shooting you. Yeah, there's no siege yet, so I don't have to worry about catapults hiding in the forest. The late 1200s that this is taking place for us, and I believe the game is set in the 1400s. The next order we received from Lord Aelred was to buy the best weapons, armor, helmets, steel, carts, everything. The best of the best of the best is required. So helmets, plate armor, and mail armor, I believe, is what we need. Maybe some more shields. We're just going to spend Dunwick's wealth. We make a lot of money, and we have a lot of things that we can sell off. Let's sell off some tools. We don't need those. Establish a trade route and export those. They will give us 6 per unit. And we should be able to offset the cost of this import. Plus, having so many level 3 plots with so many level 3 families, Dunwick earns quite a lot per month. I turned off the tax as well, because I feel like 45,000 gold pieces is quite a lot for a Manor Lord, and you don't really need any more wealth. We've got nothing to spend it on. One of Thornwick's prominent features is huge amounts of stone and huge amounts of wild animals in the forest. So we need to build out the forestry team to take advantage of that. Finally, the town of Huonville has seen its first family move in, and once the word spreads about the amenities that we have provided for a burgeoning community, I'm sure they will flock. Plus, we also have another town of Thornwick if the lowlands of the Huon Valley are not appealing to you. Rokeby's granaries are packed to the rafters with frozen berries and vegetables. We're going to export them to earn a little bit more wealth, and we'll start importing the ingredients needed for beer until they can get their barley production underway. 6 months on and no one has moved into Thornwick, and we still have a malice, and I figured out what it is. The smell. A while ago when I first took over this region, I lost some mercenaries up here. And we've got a malice for corpses, which I cannot find for the life of me. So I'm hoping that that soon goes away, because there's no prompt to get them buried. But yet, the issue persists. We just received a an achievement for reaching 100% satisfaction in a large town. So the people of Dunwick are 100% satisfied with Lord Aelred. There is not one single thing that he could do wrong. He is a shining paragon of virtue in the eyes of Dunwick's people. And that has inspired veterans of the King's Army to join the garrison at Rokeby. 24 well-equipped men-at-arms, paid for out of Lord Aelred's pocket. Each single one of them shall receive the finest of goods. He shall be treated like a king, but he will also have the duty of a king, and that is to defend the lands at all costs. Now that that's done, all the armor's bought, let's try and raise a levy at Rokeby of just archers. And I've just discovered that you cannot raise any more militia. There must be a cap on the amount of troops that you're allowed to have. It seems that I'm only allowed to have 5 militia. So I guess that means that I can possibly get another 2 24-men retinue if I build forts at my other 2 regions. So that's what I will prioritize, and I'll make sure that I don't disband my mercenaries. I want to keep them as well. Dunwick's soil must be very fertile. The forests have sprung up in only a year. The forestry teams have done a fantastic job laying down the ring of trees. And I think a few more months and this job will be finished. And Dunwick will once again fade into the landscape. The sun is starting to come up. Let's have a quick look. And the town is largely obscured. This is what our mission was. Finally, people are moving into Thornwick and they're almost out of fuel. I forgot to build a wood choppers, so we'll get right on that, and the new families will provide wood for the fires. I may use an upgrade point to unlock charcoal because it's such a valuable technology. I've been buying plate and I've been buying helmets, and our militia are not being issued them yet. They've got gambesons. Oh, that's... Plate is only for the retinue, I think I read. Yeah, so we've been pulling in plate armor, which is for retinues. We need mail armor for our troops, and I think they need to be level 3 if I remember the tooltip correctly. So let's import gambesons and mail, and they can fit whatever their class lets them fit. The helmets and the mail are now disappearing from my inventory and being topped up by the trader, so I can only assume they're being fitted to the troops and still trying to match my surplus. Yeah, some have got mail, some have got gambesons. We're just waiting on those shipments of mail from the King's Court. It's costing us a lot, but it's worth it. Start of autumn, and the forestry teams have done a fantastic job. It's time to knock down the forestry huts. We won't really need them again. I won't be using those trees for lumber. And we've got a little bit of a clearing so that anyone peeking up the road can see the keep. And they're like, oh, okay, so maybe I shouldn't go up that road. And that mission is complete. I shall inform Lord Aelred presently. The final phase to get these guys up to speed at Thornwick is a church. That will satisfy their need. Next episode, we will probably upgrade them to level 2. And another church here for Huonville. We will nestle it up in the forest. Where can we put it? Just here, on the corner. And that's down. Right, let's have a look at our imports. We can stop them now. We've got 200 gambesons, because they swapped them out for the mail that I provided. So all of our troops have now helmets and mail as their armor fit out. Let's have a look. Yes, they've all got the armor. That's what we wanted. All of our men have their heads protected, a retinue, all in matching armor and weapons. Then we have the bowmen all wearing helmets. Must be mail underneath. They're wearing both gambesons and mail. sneaky bastards. So in this episode, we founded 2 new towns. We founded a fort at Rokeby. We regrew the forests of Dunwick, and we fit out all of our men for war. We also attracted the service of 24 more men-at-arms from the King's Court. And as Lord Aelred inspects his men's new attire, hopefully he can rest easy. Like, subscribe, and come back for more. I'm Commander Tyrael. See you next time.